Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Of course, this week we just saw our major first update for Warzone 2 really in Season 1 Reloaded, and then basically our second major update for MW2. And while this brought plenty of new changes to the game, some new content as well, a major aspect of this update was delayed. And I won't lie, this one is a head scratcher. This one confuses me, and it really makes me ask what is going on with Call of Duty, because it's not like Call of Duty is a new game. It's been around forever. We have launched so many Call of Duties. We've seen so many updates, so many new features, and so many new, improvements to the franchise over time. And then we got Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, which, prior to launch, were talked about so much how they're going to be so much more polished than Cold War and Vanguard. They're going to be, filled with less issues because this game has had a longer dev time, and that necessarily isn't the case. But let's talk about this new major update, this new major feature that was in fact delayed. Just before the Season 1 Reloaded update went out, Call of Duty posted this tweet. Although previously announced, Warzone 2 Combat Records will not be launching with Season 1 Reloaded due to the accuracy of data population. However, we continue to work on this feature and the implementation of leaderboards, and will provide an update when available. So like I said, this one is a head scratcher because frankly, I don't understand how combat records are such an issue with Call of Duty these days. You look back, Black Ops 1 had one of the best combat records ever. All the old Call of Duties launched with combat records. Up until recently, where these have been a major issue for whatever reason. I don't know why simple stat tracking and showing those in game is such a major hurdle that apparently needs to be tackled, and it's not something that can be tackled in time for the launch of a Call of Duty game anymore. It makes me question exactly what's going on. Like, why is this always a thing that is happening nowadays? What's the problem here? Even if you look back to Cold War, the combat record there actually got some really cool updates over time showing you, hit reg location and where you're most accurate with and all sorts of cool stuff like that. Yet we seem to be regressing in the basic features that are being added with Call of Duty. But let's talk a bit more about this tweet because this does give us some interesting information overall. So we already know that now combat records were not going to track any stats for Warzone 2 specifically up until the time in which they debuted. So basically all your stats from the launch of Warzone 2 to Season 1 Reloaded were not going to be tracked. Then once the combat records dropped with Season 1 Reloaded, then the stats would start tracking. But now with the delay of combat records, we don't know if stats are now going to be tracking sort of retroactively in the background now as we're playing, or if all stats are not going to count in Warzone 2 up until whenever the combat records are introduced. And what confuses me the most here is that they're being withheld due to the accuracy of data population. So we don't have combat records at launch, and then when we were supposed to get them, we didn't get them because they wouldn't be right. Stat tracking in Call of Duty, I don't think should be this complex after this many different game launches that have all launched successfully with combat records and with leaderboards. And keep in mind, leaderboards actually, conveniently enough, were confirmed with this update. They do say we continue to work on, adding in combat records and the implementation of leaderboards. So, previously all we knew of was the combat record. Obviously, there's no leaderboards available for MW2 or Warzone 2. Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer does have combat records, although very basic and very minimal combat records. They are there at least. Warzone 2, however, no stats whatsoever. But that tweet does essentially confirm that leaderboards will be coming to the game at some point in the future. But just like the rest of this tweet, it doesn't specify anything. It doesn't say when, and that's more so what we're going to get into here in just a moment. Quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So anytime there's new updates, any news that drops, stuff like that, this is your one-stop shop for that stuff. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. Also, if you guys enjoy this video despite it being some not so fun news, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. It does really help the channel grow. Let's try and aim for 2,000 likes on this one. But anyways, the news is out there. Combat records are delayed, and they don't give any detail as to when exactly this could actually make it to the game. And unfortunately enough, we could be looking at February at the next earliest date, because As of right now, that's the only date that they've communicated for another major update. Season 1 Reloaded obviously is here. Now, the remainder of Season 1 is going to go until February 1st. That's the current start date for Season 2. And in between now and then, we really don't have anything confirmed for updates. Now, I'm sure that over the course of the next month, we are going to see new updates drop. They're going to add in some surprise updates here and there, hopefully with some content. I'll talk more on that here in just a moment, but also for bug fixes, for different stuff like that, probably to remove XP glitches that people find. Stuff like that will happen regardless. It's not going to be a month straight of nothing happening, but they don't give us any details as to, you know, when we might expect to see some of that stuff happen to hold us over until Season 2 drops in February. So Combat Records and maybe even Leaderboards, at this point, I just assume they're probably going to drop at the same time, but I guess, you know, I also assumed this game was going to launch with basic features like Combat Records, so assuming is no longer safe. But I'd hope that Combat Records and Leaderboards would drop at the same time, and potentially this could drop in, you know, like the second or the third week of January with a random update. Or it could be all the way until February with Season 2, where, you know, 4 months after launch, Warzone and MW2 are getting full-on Leaderboards and Combat Records. Features that a decade ago were standard at launch with all Call of Duties. It just doesn't make sense to me at all how this stuff is so problematic. I will say it's nice that we did get some communication here for sure, although it's not always awesome when the communication we do have leaves us wondering more after the fact, or we are left with more questions than what we started with. But regardless, Combat Records are delayed, and this is just stacking on top of all these other head scratchers that we have with Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. Warzone 2.0, I should add. In 2.0, insinuating it is, you know, upgraded and improved from the previous version, but I don't know if I can confidently say it is improved, because we have regressed a lot with certain aspects of the game, and between all the issues, the actual game-breaking bugs and other problematic bugs that we have in-game between multiplayer and Warzone 2 and DMZ, it doesn't feel like this was necessarily the most polished or most finished COD at launch. We're also still lacking content as well for a game that had that kind of dev time between maps and multiplayer. I mean, my buddy Espresso Jordan, I'm sure most of you guys know him, he posted a tweet the other day. He's like, we've had more unique maps launch for the Rocket League mode now than just basic 6v6, because all the 6v6 maps that we've seen are remakes and recycled maps from before. But the soccer mode, the Rocket League mode, the football mode, whatever you want to call it, got its own unique map first. We've also seen maps removed because of all the legal issues. It makes me scratch my head. As I've said multiple times throughout the video, it just doesn't all make sense. So unfortunately, another basic yet pretty major feature within Call of Duty was delayed, and that's about all we have on the subject as of right now. If we see new updates in the future to, you know, give us a better time frame of what's going on here, you guys know I'm going to have you covered with that. So make sure you are subscribed with those noties turned on so you never miss a video. And if you guys enjoyed this one, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. But that is going to wrap things up for today. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. And the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.